Turning now to politics, so much going on, including the continued battle over raising the debt ceiling. Here to break it all down for us is Caroline Heldman, professor of critical theory and social justice at Occidental College. Good morning, Caroline.
Good morning, Giselle. Great to see you.
Always great to see you. Before we get to the debt ceiling, I just spoke to Congressman Adam Schiff. He's running for Dianne Feinstein's seat, as you know, just endorsed by Nancy Pelosi. How significant?
That's very significant. This is going to be a very expensive, bloody battle with the Democrats here in California, and being anointed by the person who, holds a lot of prestige in this state, I think matters a lot. And also Adam Schiff, has been in Congress for 20 years. This is perhaps his moment. Of course, Barbara Lee, who's also expected to run, would say, look, I've been waiting a little longer for this. But this is a significant moment for Adam Schiff to pull out in front.
Yeah, contentious and competitive. It looks like it's shaping up to be, with Katie Porter also saying he's not progressive enough. We'll see how that all shapes out. So the debt ceiling. President Biden and Speaker McCarthy apparently had a positive meeting yesterday, but McCarthy still wants spending cuts, and the White House is saying they will not negotiate on money already spent. Who caves first? What's at risk?
Yeah, they are smiling through clenched teeth. This is the beginning of a very long battle for this, and we have until June until we default. And if we default, what's at stake is perhaps a global recession or a global depression. Unlike anything we've ever seen in U.S. history, we can't default on our debt. And just to be clear, Kevin McCarthy is coming in and saying he wants to negotiate on spending, but the debt ceiling limit is actually about money that has already been spent over the many years by both political parties. And so he's essentially using the threat of a global depression to press demands that otherwise he wouldn't have any power to press for with Biden.
And how does the GOP reconcile the fact that they raised the debt ceiling 3 times under the Trump administration that incurred $7.3 trillion of America's debt, which is at $31.4 trillion? So how can they reconcile holding it up now when they raised it 3 times under their past president?
Yeah, that's hypocrisy politics 101. Both parties engage in it. The Republicans happen to be doing it right now. Both of them do this with the debt ceiling, right? But mostly Republicans have been weaponizing it. At the end of the day, if you think about this, essentially Congress has two processes to pass a debt or to pass a budget. So you pass your budget and then you have to vote on the debt ceiling. We set this up 100 years ago for a variety of reasons. And oftentimes you'll get folks voting on the budget, which, by the way, Kevin McCarthy did, and then coming back and saying they're not going to vote on the debt ceiling increase. So it's political doublespeak. And at this point in time, playing chicken like this, as we're so close to a default, is not fun. What will happen if this happens is parts of government will shut down, and it will have a global ripple effect throughout the economy. And Kevin McCarthy knows this, which is why he is negotiating in this way.
Yeah, and we don't know what the GOP spending cuts are. They have pulled back on cutting Social Security and Medicare. But do you think those cuts could still be on the table, Caroline?
I don't, because 70% of Americans do not want you to touch the third rail of politics or cut Social Security or Medicare if you're representing them. So Kevin McCarthy is wise. The Republicans are wise in knowing that they can't cut those programs. So what will they go after? They haven't been clear about that, but it will be possibly military cuts and domestic programs.
All right, Adam Schiff was on this morning. He and Eric Swalwell and Ilhan Omar ousted from their committees. They call it revenge politics for Pelosi ousting Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar. It's apples and oranges, though, no?
It is actually apples and oranges. I don't love it when one party is ousting other party members from committees. This is a really bad precedent. But in the case of Gosar and Marjorie Taylor Greene, it was because Gosar posted a meme of him killing AOC. And in the case of Marjorie Taylor Greene, she made violent threats on members of Congress about executing them. And so it is absolutely apples and oranges. And the reason that they were removed from their committee assignments is because their Republican leadership did not hold them accountable for those actions, and they should have. But at the end of the day, yeah, this is just revenge against the Democrats.
Right. All right, let's talk about George Santos temporarily stepping down from his 2 committee seats after meeting with McCarthy. Now the feds are investigating whether Santos raised money for a life-saving surgery for a veteran's dying dog, only to take off with the money.
It never ends with Santos. And I do think this is the beginning of the end. There's a House Ethics Committee. McCarthy has promised to hold his committee assignments until that investigation is done. But the fact that Santos has voluntarily stepped back means that he knows something is up. And it's probably the fact that a recent poll found that 75% of his constituents want him to step down.
All right, let me ask you about Ron DeSantis banning all these books. You're a college professor. How dangerous is this precedent, and will the nation embrace this in 2024?
I'm hoping the nation doesn't embrace this. Let's look at history, folks, right? Puritans banning books in the 1600s, many instances where book banning is used to essentially control the citizenry. The most obvious example is Nazi Germany and the Nazis banning books. At the end of the day, as educators, we want to expose our students, encourage them to read things they don't agree with, and we certainly want them to learn history, which is the most troubling part of this. But at the end of the day, I think Ron DeSantis has really underestimated Gen Z, because if he puts out a book banning list, these kids will find this content online. They're way ahead of us.
Yeah, there's always Amazon. So 9 Republican-led states have asked a federal judge in Texas to block the DACA program, which shields, as you know, dreamers from deportation. Could this end the program?
You know, it could. We've seen 10 years of legal wrangling. Trump wanted to end it. And of course, this is protections for 800,000 migrants who came as children and have lived in the United States and grown up in the United States. And what has happened recently is the Biden administration said they would defend it. And now a Texas judge is looking at whether Biden has the authority to do that. I assume that the judge will not rule in Biden's favor. It will go to appeal and possibly go to the Supreme Court, at which point I think DACA would be dead.
All right. Biggest question of the day. Who are you voting for the Super Bowl?
You know, here's the terrible thing, Giselle.
I'm with you, girl.
I don't even know who's playing.
You know what? The halftime show. Rihanna.
Rihanna.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Appreciate you being with us every Thursday. Caroline Heldman, professor of critical theory and social justice at Occidental College. Thanks again.
Thanks,
See you
Giselle.
soon.